This May, in Dubai, the BSV Global Blockchain Convention will bring together communities and unveil new breakthrough technologies where you can network with hundreds of expert practitioners, learn from forward-thinking brands and startups, propel your business forward. Join us at the BSV Global Blockchain Convention, May 24 to 26 in Dubai.
Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, everybody, and welcome to this edition of the Women of BSV. Today, we are joined by the wonderful hosts, Casey, Ray, and Ruth, and myself, Diddy. We may get a special pop-up from Korppi later on, and we are joined by our special guest today, Bernhard, who is the co-founder of Fabriik, and Roy is the president and chief product officer, of Fabriik. He is an accomplished speaker who attended the University of Western Ontario for computer science and Harvard University for business studies. Previously, Roy had executive positions at Workopolis, Spin Master Toys, and other very big, large public companies. Now, I'm really interested to know about what it was like working with lots of toys, to be fair.
Yeah, I get that all the time. It's good. It's fun. The only thing I'll say is I wish my kids were older when I was at Spin Master, but it was a lot of fun. You certainly learned a lot. Long story short, the amount of creativity that runs through a toy company is amazing. And the unfortunate business side of it is that 70 to 80% of all ideas, and even beyond ideas, things that go to become toys on the market fail. So there's such a low success rate, such a high investment. It was an eye-opener, but it was one of the most fun things I ever did in my life.
I wanted to get into digital marketing when I found out that the guy that got fidget spinners into big box stores was making $60,000 a day.
Isn't that crazy?
Okay.
Just from a fidget spinner.
From fidget spinners. Just that one toy in the big box stores, $60,000 a day. I was like, oh.
Think of Pokemon cards for a minute, right? Like how much simpler does it get than somebody literally printing pictures on paper? And I mean, there's obviously the complexity of the points and the systems, but it really, when you get kids or any collector loving it, wow, it's amazing. It's just, it's insane.
Yeah, because it's replicated, aren't we, in NFTs now?
That's right. That's the hope.
Yeah, Spin Master had a lot of like electronic toys. My daughter loved these little puppies that would bark, and she got into them right where they're like phased out, and so I had to email Spin Master and I'm like, "Do you guys still sell these toys?" And so I got lucky and found them off of a second party. But they have a lot of robot toys.
Yeah, they do. Like there was, a long time ago, we sort of Spin Master came into all these different opportunities with regards to the RC world, the radio controlled world, and getting cars to go up the walls, and then the gliders and the planes. It's pretty amazing, and kids love simple things. I think a lot of people, and not just kids, but even anyone who wants to play with something. And we found that you can make the most complex toy in the world, and people are just not interested in it. They want
physics toys, isn't it? Physics toys, like stuff that uses gravity and stuff. Yeah. I always find with my boys had to buy them all that sort of cars going up walls.
Yeah, cars. Yeah, the cars going up the walls. Yeah.
Yeah. But it is the stuff that involves physics. They always just wanted, I don't know, just something that literally harnessed the laws of physics was the thing that really kept their interest. And then, of course, computers came along and they don't care about anything else.
Yeah. It's true.
So what was your transition from toys to blockchain then?
Wow. So actually, funny enough, I went from toys to the world of law. Actually,
Oh,
so
okay.
I also I also am the executive director for a law firm here in Canada. So
Cool.
for the past 12 or 13 years, I've been building and growing a law firm, and the transition. I guess it seems really strange. So the story is very simple. I started with Spin Master Toys and worked there for a bit, and then there was an opportunity to work with the founders, but moved to LA. So I moved to LA, and we opened up Spin Master Studios, which was MMORPGs for kids. So the
Cool.
massively multiplayer online role playing games. So we took, for example, Tech Deck, and we made an online Tech Deck skate park. We built this really cool game for car racing, where we ended up and I actually had the coolest opportunity where I flew down to Seattle. I met with the guys at Amazon before Amazon launched their AWS services, before, like, when they were just selling stuff online, no back-end services.
Wow.
Their office was a crazy mess, but the coolest thing ever. So we actually joined a small pilot group of about half a dozen people to test out creating sharding servers. So how can we create these servers that allowed us to replicate games ad hoc? So it was before the word cloud really existed. Well, before it existed, really. And so we built this device, because at Spin Master there's physical and digital. So we built this really cool device where you could go to the store and buy packs of cards, and those packs of cards gave you different cars, different weapons, and different defenses. And about 15 seconds, so you'd log in to start a race, and you'd plug this box into your computer. It was basically a barcode reader, and you had 15 seconds while the race started, and everyone else did as well, to swipe your defenses and swipe your weapons to arm your car before you went on a race. And so we ended up doing that. That was one of my first introductions to the idea of creating anything that needed to scale. But so that introduced me to the world of digital development, like really doing large digital developments. And then from there, I actually jumped over and did a hedge fund in between, and ended up selling the hedge fund, and then jumped into the law firm, but fell in love with blockchain. And then the other founder of Fabriik tapped me on the shoulder about 3 years ago and said, "Hey, you built a hedge fund before. I'm interested in building another one now, but on blockchain, using crypto and all this stuff. And how could I say no?" So it was another adventure.
Cool. What was your first introduction to blockchain?
My first introduction was actually, I would say about almost 4 to 5 years ago. I met some people at nChain, and it was just through some friends, and we started having a conversation, and they ripped open the rabbit hole of blockchain, and it's very hard not to get lost, because I live in a world of finance, law, and technology. So it really, all three of those things were amazing for me. And then that was it. I learned.
Yeah.
I mean, were you instantly convinced by nChain that BSV was the superior chain, or did you are you still chain agnostic, or you're all in on BSV? How do you feel about it?
I am sorry. There's a little bit of noise in the background. I apologize. Basically, when I first started off, I had a chance to look at Ethereum and look at a whole bunch of other things, and it was sort of an eye opener to understand what was going on. Because of my experience with the MMORPG gaming stuff and scalability, I always had that on my head, because I think very few people had the opportunity to see what happens when, Christmas morning happens, kids open up presents, and then there's a billion kids jumping on this toy all at once, and you need to scale stuff really quickly. So it actually was an area that made me look into blockchain and how it would scale up, because of all the hype around it being something that could replace, the monetary system, could replace back-end databases and a whole bunch of other stuff. And it actually turned out that BSV, and I know this is probably a story that many people have heard, but the truth is that BSV was the only technology that actually truly was able to do that. And so it was very interesting. And at the beginning of the hedge fund, when we first opened it up, we hired a bunch of quants and mathematicians, and we got together and we did a study where we looked at about a dozen different blockchain technologies, and BSV won in almost every single category. Well, pretty much in every single category. So we were huge proponents of it, and yeah, it hasn't disappointed since then. We've had a chance to build our token protocol, a whole bunch of other things. So we're crazy excited about it.
Well, shall we get into talking about Fabriik then? Because you've got quite a few different products, so we could probably have quite a long conversation.
For sure.
What do you want to talk about first? Fabriik Weave, FabriikX, the new wallet?
Yeah, so I would say the Fabriik Wallet. We've recently released our Fabriik Wallet. It's in the app stores. I don't know if you guys have seen that. It's in iOS and Android stores. It is a wallet that we're proud of. We opened it up. So we actually got quite lucky. We wanted to find a way to spring forward a really cool wallet that we could develop that was a multi-asset wallet that had a lot of opportunity to do some neat stuff in the future. I love it. Thank you. It's going to get prettier and better and a whole bunch of other things. But we had this really unique opportunity where the Bread wallet, which was the first major self-custodial open sourced wallet, was introduced to the world a long time ago. And I would say, I guess, fortunately for some, but unfortunately for many of the millions of users that used it, it was acquired by Coinbase. And Coinbase basically deprecated the wallet and is pulling everyone into a non-custodial exchange environment, and not supporting all of the digital assets that it used to support, etc. And that's a real shame. Yeah, so what we did was we went back in history a short period, and we grabbed a copy of the open source GitHub repo, and we actually replicated that. We forked the repo, and we're carrying the torch forward on a self-custodial open wallet, and we've been able to introduce a lot of the powers of BSV into the roadmap for it, which we're really excited about. And right now it's still in its infancy, and we're not going to pretend that it's the bee's knees just yet, even though we're really excited about it. But it's great. It's easy to use, fast to set up. It inherits a lot of the wonderful qualities of the whole Bread wallet environment. And we're working really hard to continue to add functionality to it. And our focus this year is to really just make it a competitive wallet that's secure and stable. And then by the end of the year, beginning of next year, we're going to focus on adding some really cool, fun, innovative features onto it. So it's going to be our core piece that we're taking forward.
So just tell me this, because can you trade assets within the wallet? Is that the idea?
So you will be able to swap assets within the wallet, one asset to the other. The wallet is currently not using the Weave technology. So we have Fabriik Weave, which allows for swaps, which sites like CryptoKites and the wallet, the current Money Button wallet uses, or you go to fabriik.com and use the Weave swap tech. Right now, the wallet that we launched uses Changelly and Wire as partners for fiat on-ramping and for swapping, but that is something that we're actively migrating off of. So we're just trying to be very mindful and careful about the stages that we release it in.
I see. So it's using Changelly at the minute.
It's using at the moment, yeah. If you go if you use the wallet and you want to swap from one asset to the next, it would use Changelly. And Changelly is a great, product, a great service, but it's
expensive.
It's expensive. That's right, and you have to jump through a lot of hoops. But yeah, expensive is a big one. We've been able to do Weave at much better rates, and Weave smaller amounts. It's much less friction when you're doing swaps. So we've seen all of that. We just, I guess, in anticipation of a larger volume of users using it, especially as we grow and attract the existing Bread wallet user base and ask them to come into our world and use this. We just want to make sure that the resiliency and scalability and stability of the Weave backend will be able to satisfy all those needs.
Fantastic. I mean, my favorite wallet has always been Exodus, actually, and that
Exodus
uses Changelly as well.
Yeah.
But it is very expensive, and I have to say this is probably true of a lot of people in BSV. I don't really do much trading anymore. I just don't. I'm just in BSV these days. But it is very welcome news if you're going to integrate Weave, with cheaper fees into your wallet. So I might switch.
You know what? I would love that.
My concern with using Exodus is it's an Ethereum-based wallet. If Ethereum goes down, what happens to things that are built on Ethereum? So
I don't know. Is it though? I'm not even sure.
You have to have some Ethereum in your wallet in order to make transactions.
Only to buy Ethereum tokens.
Yeah, for ERC20 based tokens.
No, I don't think it's written.
You need the gas fees.
So
I don't. It's possible that they require it for other things as well. But yeah, from my understanding, it's for any ERC20 token or Ethereum, you need to pay gas fees. I think that's actually something that trips up many newbies. And I'm not saying in the context here, but it reminds me because I actually had one of my law partners. She wanted to get into the world of crypto, so I'm obviously buy some BSV, do this, do that, and then. Obviously some, uncle's father's cousin's goldfish told her to buy Ethereum. So she's like, okay, I'll buy some Ethereum. More specifically, she ended up buying, I think, USDT or something along those lines. Regardless, she needed to pay gas fees. And it was so confusing to her to have to go in and out and buy an asset that she didn't have in order to do a transaction that she wanted.
It kills the joy of the thing, doesn't it? Yeah.
It does.
Particularly when the things get high.
Yeah, it's really silly. So, anyways, so as far as the wallet is concerned, yes, the swapping will get a lot better and more cost effective. Also, we're excited when we're working on some, really high end fiat on ramping, so that it will be really easy and cost effective to be able to buy. I love it. Welcome to the world. It'll be really easy to buy BSV and crypto with a credit card or with ACH or with Apple Pay or any of those other things. So
fabulous!
That'd be great.
Yeah.
So especially with Apple Pay.
Yes,
definitely. Yeah, that hurt my ears up because I haven't heard anyone else doing that yet.
That's it. I think we're trying to take a step back. I think the BSV community has got, and we also fell into this as well in a good way. We got really excited at what we could potentially built. So we created all this cool, innovative stuff, but we lost sight of the basic adoption and the basics. Where let's just create a wallet where you can without friction, super seamlessly use a credit card or Apple Pay or Google Pay or whatever it is to buy BSV or to buy crypto, and then very easily, quickly and inexpensively swap between assets. Let's just start there.
Yeah, because in America, it's really hard to buy BSV still.
Yes, it is. Yeah. So we're really hoping that as over the course of the next few months that will change, and we'll be able to be the change agents for that. And I think that will help to not only allow Fabriik to grow, but really help the greater ecosystem to grow, because your wallet is. Your wallet is the gateway to being able to do stuff.
Yeah, agreed.
And will it have any integrations? Is there anything, or is it Weave itself that gets integrated into apps and websites?
No. So so Weave, as far as the wallet is concerned, Weave will ultimately disappear. It'll just be the swap functionality, and. But we have had conversations already about having the wallet be able to integrate with other apps in the ecosystem, but we haven't landed on a square just yet. The truth is that, and this is where I'm also mindful of various talking about various roadmap paths. We have a lot of exciting things that we want to do, but we're, like I said, right now, the main focus is really just on building a competitive wallet and making sure that the basics work flawlessly. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, even on that, actually, we have a bug bounty program that we've put out, and we're excited where people are able to use the product. If they find a bug or an error, they can let us know, and they get entered into a contest and win prizes and stuff like that. So we're trying to have fun that way too.
So is it, am I correct that you can add BSV to this wallet, but you can't buy any through this wallet?
Yeah, so there have been some pokes. I think that the big issue is that because our current fiat on-ramping partner is Wire, they don't let you use your credit card to buy BSV. And I think that's the complaint that people are making. And we know that and we hate that, but we're working to change it, I promise. And that's the biggest issue. You can swap though, like you can buy some other crypto and then swap it into BSV, but it's not cost effective to do that. You can transfer BSV in, you can transfer BSV out.
I was just looking because I was gonna see what that process was like and just make a purchase, and it's not supported.
It's a good time to buy right now. That's for sure.
I know, it's a great time to buy.
I know that's like one of the things we need so bad is better on ramps. So
we're working on that. Like I promise you, that is, if you guys could be a fly on the wall inside of Fabriik, you would hear every single day that that's being hammered. What's
the timeline for it, you think?
I would say I would potentially as early as 60 days. Like we're at a point where it's really now just about technical integration. Like we're past the relationships and contracts and all that stuff. We have good partners, and now we're just integrating it. We've already done all the UI and UX for the wallet, so very excited. With fiat on-ramping though, there's going to be, there's additional complexity in that you need to have more KYC and some registration. We're very, we want to make sure that, we, as funny as it sounds for some people, but we want to protect our users and the wallet users by making sure that the process that they go through is proper and follows.
Absolutely, yeah.
So the legal side of it, I mean, you say you come from a law angle as well, but I mean, do you use external companies as well within? Because I mean, the legal complexities within crypto are quite huge, really, aren't they?
Yes, they are. So we do use external legal counsel and support where we need to. We actually have in-house lawyers at Fabriik as well that are experts in legal and compliance and really help to shepherd us along those ways. Our chief legal officer and chief compliance officer, Alice Abbott, is absolutely amazing. And if you guys get a chance, you should connect with her. If you guys ever, have a chat on that topic on compliance.
I'd love to have a real chat with somebody about the legal implications. It'd be really interesting. Yeah.
She's amazing. So I mean, navigating around that and the legal and compliance issues are not light. Like there's so many little details, even down to, and there's always this tug of war between the user experience and legal and compliance. So, do we need to ask for proof of residency this way, or can we do it that way? Or, when you if somebody has to scan their ID, can we at least scrape the data to put it into their address information? Like, how can we make this as painless as possible?
Yeah.
And then, we're collecting the data, but we have to make sure it's secure and we're storing it properly. It's
and there's a ton of rules around that, isn't there? I mean, just holding people's data is just a huge.
Yeah, a lot of people don't like KYC.
Yeah, a lot of people hate it. I know. And
having said that, though, that's where we are now, isn't it? I mean, the whole crypto space is maturing.
I think it's the only way to stop fraud, isn't it, really, is to literally, if anybody's going to have any monetary dealings, they have to do a KYC. It's the only way to combat fraud, surely.
That's right. And I think that people who think that there's anonymity in using blockchain technology are mistaken for the most part. Like it's like it actually, to a large extent, I feel, and everybody feels it has a different view, but I feel in large part it clouds and masks and even puts a darker cloud around the beauty of the blockchain and the technology and the fact that it's great. I mean, and most of the time, nobody really cares. Like that's the honest truth. Like sure, if you're some, if you're doing things you shouldn't be doing, then you're doing things you shouldn't be doing. But if like the rest of us who, we're just having a good time trying to, live and grow and stuff.
I think it's a sign, honestly, that they're taking it more seriously, the fact that they're regulating it now. So I
think you're right.
I
think you're spot on,
Just a quick question. Do you have any plans to integrate any kind of SPV type functionality? Is that part of your roadmap?
Yeah, we talk about that. It's not on our immediate roadmap. It's something that would probably happen towards the beginning of next year. We talk about it. We talk about a lot of the cool sort of innovations that are there, and I mean even stuff that's been around for a little while. It's a little bit more difficult just given the need for other community members to support it. And so it would be great if there was an opportunity where, and we'll look for it, like where maybe, let's say we're partnering up or doing something with Handcash or doing something with Fix or with another company that's out there. Omniscape is doing some Transmira is doing some cool stuff with Omniscape. Like maybe there's an opportunity in there, and I feel like 2 or 3 companies need to get together to get the ball rolling on it, and then it'll take off.
Would you be able to explain a little bit about? So there's like tokens on Ethereum. What is similar to like SPV? That's also like a token protocol for BSV?
No. So SPV is a little bit different. It's a technology that it's like SPV channels. It's basically it's a way think of it like a messaging system or a messaging bus that happens between users. So it's secure channels for asynchronous communication between participants, and you could build a chat program on it, for example, and maybe I'm bastardizing the complexity of it, but just trying to simplify it a little bit. It also it makes it so that you can run a partial node, or it lessens the burden of any one individual app or organization needing to run the entire large node, which now, as big blocks are continuing to grow, get more and more difficult. We've certainly faced that many times, where it's fantastic on one end on the enterprise level, but it makes it much more difficult for retail products sometimes.
So when you say you work enough nodes, that means it still needs like a confirmation.
It's almost like it's a like I guess there's you query less, so it's great for mobile apps. It's great for quick stuff. You don't have to go through and get a complete sync of the blockchain in order to identify the validity of a message.
Am I right in saying that you use the Merkle header to store your transactions only, so that when you send a transaction, your wallet validates the transaction before it's sent?
Yes, that's correct.
So it doesn't have to, you can send it directly to the other person.
That's right. That's a less wordy way of saying what I was saying.
I'm never sure whether I'm using quite the right terminology, if I'm honest, but yeah, something like that.
It changes. I'm sure, even though I'm on a completely different continent, I'm sure at some point Steve Shatters will throw a baseball at me. And, okay.
We're all getting it slightly wrong, I think, but whatever.
Exactly. He's like, oh, come on.
Somebody's got to understand this finally. Yeah. So should we move on and talk about FabriikX then, which our own dear Diddy has had some lovely pieces of artwork on.
I'm excited. I know.
Tell us a bit about that, Diddy, about your artwork just before we start, because you've got quite a unique take on it, haven't you?
In the sense of
the physical.
I paint some pictures and I send the images of those paintings to Fabriik, and then Fabriik do magic and put me on their website, and then they promote me as well. And I always mention the women of BSV. So I might not be their biggest seller, but I'm definitely on there. I've just sent over a new collection as well, which is called Imagination.
Oh, brilliant.
I know, I'm excited. It's going to be really exciting.
There's a lot of art on there. and there's a lot of very, I mean, there's some amazing artists on there, from what I see. But I'm not sure, but I think I might be the only person who's doing physical products with the art.
Yeah, right. Yeah, we have actually we have a collector who's going to be releasing some pretty cool, first of all, like the landscape stuff that you've done. There's a lot of really cool stuff that's out there. But I think that you've done that. But the short answer is yes. I'm pretty sure you're quite unique, if not the only one who's doing that. We have, as I was saying, another collector who's doing something similar where they've been collecting album covers and signed art from Pink Floyd and from all these wonderful live events, and they're creating NFTs of those.
That's cool.
Yeah, and we had a professional cameraman fly down with Lior, who's basically managing the community and managing FabriikX. And they actually created 3D pictures, and he was laughing where he's like, I was sitting there for hours and hours where we'd put something on this like a cake stand, and we'd spin it a little bit and keep snapping photos just so that we have a 3D version of it. I'm like, that's good. It's old school instead of all the fancy stuff they do. But we're trying to have a lot of fun with that and really get it going. But
like, who is it that's the art lover? Because I know Lior is very good at the creation side of things. But who is it? Because you've got a nice piece of artwork behind you there, which looks like a bit of some abstract boats or something.
Yeah.
So who is that? A kind of love that the two of you have got, or is that something? Where did that idea for FabriikX come from? I mean, obviously getting on top of the NFT bandwagon kind of thing.
Sure. So there was, obviously that opportunity, but we had a fellow that was involved in marketing before, but I do have a huge passion for art. I do, down in my basement, I have a studio where I go and I paint, and I enjoy doing a lot of fun stuff like that. I know I went to school for computer science, and I found computer science and paint. I actually got into computer science because of art, to be honest. I went to school to study art, and right before, right at the beginning. And one of my art classes actually introduced me for the first time to, and I won't age myself, but introduced me to Adobe Photoshop when Adobe Photoshop was the basics of the basics. Right. And I started playing around with that a bit, and then I realized that I got to a point where I got stuck. I couldn't manipulate the artwork the way I wanted to. So my professor said, as a joke, maybe you should learn to code. Maybe you should learn to program. And so I took him up on that. I went and I bought a computer, and I taught myself to start. I taught myself how to write. And the first code I ever wrote was a Photoshop plugin, and it was just to manipulate art. Anyways, art is much easier for me by hand than it is digitally.
So what kind of style of stuff do you do?
So a lot of the artwork that I'll do is abstract art. As you can see, I'm in love with boats. I love the water, I love boats. But I guess a lot of the times I do what I call mood painting, where I turn the lights a little lower instead of bright, and I put on music that is, and I just go with it, and whatever comes out. And I don't do it for anyone other than. That's it.
There you go. You're true. It's exactly what I do. It's like literally nobody has ever seen my paintings before you actually approach me about them. Yes. Digital art I do on an iPad, but I've said this before, I'm very good at doing drawings of faces and landscapes and buildings if I've got something to look at. But these are kind of literally the same thing. It's a nice sunny day. I'm out on my balcony. I've got some paint. Let's just get some music on, Stormzy or somebody bumping in the headphones, and just see what happens. Yeah. There's no actual plan to it. So that's the best way I think of. Just get a paintbrush, get a canvas, get some music, and just start splashing some paint around.
It's nice to know that I'm not crazy. I don't ever talk about painting with anyone. So.
Oh well, if you're crazy, I'm insane. Seriously, it's like make the music as well. So we're also joined by Robin. Hello, Robin.
Hey guys, sorry I'm so late.
Oh, good.
So we're just talking about art, Robin, on FabriikX, because I've just got. I will show you one. This is one I've sent over. This is one of my. I like this one a bit better actually.
I love it. I love your abstracts, Diddy. I
love it.
Especially they've got a bit of metallic on them as well.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
That's wicked.
Yeah, well, I don't know what it is. It looks like a flower.
That's what I was just gonna say. I see a flower in there.
That's the great thing about abstract art, isn't it? You can literally see anything that you want to in a painting like that.
And it depends on the time of day or your mood or many other factors.
Korppi just put in the chat, I'm literally painting right now, haha.
To show us it.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so Korppi does pyrography, which is her physical wood and pyrography, so etching, kind of burning on wood, and she's amazing. You would love her.
She's a woman of many talents.
Yeah, very much so.
Thank you, and hello everyone.
Hello, Ruby. So I'll chime in really quick since I came in late. I'm actually broadcasting from Tulum, Mexico. I spoke at the Tulum Crypto Club yesterday. There's probably about 30 people. I heard that they typically get about 3 times as many. And when I signed up to speak, I actually mentioned that I'd speak about NFTs because that's a hot topic right now, and they seem to be very interested in that in this area. And I have to say, I didn't broadcast BSV because I didn't want to get hated on. It's obviously very much a BTC Maxi group, but I got up and I spoke about NFTs and how important it was to understand that when you're minting an NFT, that the entire asset needs to be stored on chain immutably on the blockchain, and that there's only one chain that currently does that. And it was funny because everybody in the audience was like, well, what is it? And I'm like, I'm not going to disclose that right now, but I'll share my contact information in our Telegram. And I'm happy to answer questions aside. So I got bombarded with like 30 questions, 30 hands raised, right? They practically wouldn't let me leave the room. And so this morning I did share my information on Telegram yesterday. I had 5 people chase me out of the meeting because I was waiting to get to another event. And literally one person even walked me all the way to my car. That guy, Vishnu, huge shout out. He was super cool. He's got some cool ashram he's building here, and he wants to tokenize it. So he was asking where he could do his NFT and tokenization and whatnot. So I told him I'd introduce him to a lot of people. But this morning I shared on Twitter that, the similar thoughts, that this is what I was talking about yesterday at the meetup, that only BSV currently stores the entire asset on chain, that a physical asset should probably be pegged to the digital asset, and that they should be using FabriikX or RelayX or Rare Candy or one of those companies, because there's very few companies that are currently doing that today. So. I think one of my takeaways is that I don't even have to mention BSV Network in the future. I can just simply mention the 3 companies and give them things to look at, so there's no resistance whatsoever.
Mexican artwork is amazing as well, Colors are vivid, so vivid and exquisite. You're in a good position.
Also,
so
cultural artwork is something I would love to see way more
of.
Yeah. Regional artists.
It has that meaning behind it. You know what I mean?
How do you source your artists, Ray?
Yeah, so right now, I mean, as you know, we use collections as a way of trying to. Our collections is a form of curation of sorts. So we try and curate that. So for example, let's say we had I'm Canadian, so let's say you had Inuit art, or let's say you had art in Mexico that was from a certain cultural background, or even all the way back to Aztec, who knows. We would try and create a specific collection around that subset. Separate from that, though, I mean, you can go to the Explore page and you can search for it. We're actually working on better search functionality, but you can search for specific metadata about that artwork. And it's a lot of fun. I think the fine art and the historical art, I see this all the time. The best art or the best NFTs tend to be NFTs that are comprised of something that is culturally relevant, whether in the past or today, ideally both, and something that has a temporal aspect to it. So in 5 or 10 years or 25 or 50 years or 100 years, it will be relevant. And the beauty of a lot of local cultural art is that it speaks a lot to what society has been thinking or doing, or what they were thinking about at that time. And it's very important. I think even now, and we see it in Canada where, for various reasons, and a lot of them very good reasons, they'll actually, and maybe it's controversial, but for example, we've had universities being renamed. We've had certain statues taken down. Things like that happen. I mean, you see it happening in Ukraine right now, in other areas.
Yeah.
And so to capture that moment and have it, stamped on a blockchain.
Memorialized. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that there's nothing else that can do that, because we're not in the digital space. It's not safe anymore to turn around and say, okay, well, I mean, even in the physical world, think of during wars when museums were raided and, one society decided to
World War
burn
II,
down.
and they stole so much art across all of Europe. Yeah.
That's right. There's so many things like that have happened. And if it was on a decentralized blockchain and it was actually stored on chain, then nobody gets to touch it. And I think
like a seed vault or something.
Yeah.
They have those seed vaults in the Arctic or whatever.
Right.
It's like preserving and protecting.
It's the black market that would be affected the most, though. That's what you're saying, because literally you wouldn't be able to go to Egypt and get a sarcophagus and just send it over somewhere, and it would have to be all dated.
That's where the money laundering comes in.
It must have, honestly, the black market for Egyptian antiquities is in the billions yearly. So stuff to be able to actually put a lid on that kind of thing would do for the art world. It would be phenomenal.
Well, perhaps we need 3D representation, get them on the cake stand.
Expose the Smithsonian.
At one of the CoinGeek conferences, I had a gentleman come up to me who had created a form of radioactive paint. I know that sounds like not the radioactive.
Yeah. Wow.
And
they used to do that on watch faces, didn't they?
Yeah, the idea was that the every painting is unique in terms of the quantity and the tones and the colors and all those things. And so any painting itself, when it used different paint colors with the paint, would create its own signature. And that signature could actually be mathematically recorded and translated into and tokenized effectively. And then you can actually match the physical and the digital as a signature.
Oh, wow.
So you're actually tokenizing the light frequency.
Yeah, that's right. That's super cool. And so you can validate that the physical painting and the proof of provenance that you own in your wallet of that of the purchase of that, of the ownership of that painting, you can actually prove no, I can prove that I own it on a public blockchain. And you can check the frequency of the thing that's hanging on my wall.
Oh, that's very much needed.
So cool. Roy, I have a proposition for you on that note. I didn't intend to say this on this, and I hope I'm allowed to say this. Hope I don't get in trouble. But I was approached by somebody who has, I guess it's called the Mandate, a very famous painter. They found a painting that's a very large piece of artwork that's never been found before. This particular painter became one of the most expensive painting ever sold in Asia. This artist produced one, and this painting is supposed to be estimated at $100 million. And the people that approached me want me to create a proposal for creating NFTs out of every single image that's within this painting. Apparently this painting is very, very different than every other genre that this particular artist did. And so there's tons of images within this painting, and I believe the painting's quite large, like maybe 8x8 or something like that. So they want to actually tokenize, they want to create NFTs of every single image and either make it a series of events or make it animated, but regardless, they want to physically, and I recommended they physically peg the provenance of the physical art to the series of the individual NFTs. So we could use Fabriik for that and do an entire showcase and campaign around that and really educate a lot of people along the way, as well as do something that's a really, really cool project.
I bet there's really cool hidden in there.
Yeah.
I'm talking to, later today, I'm talking to a company that does AR because I looked at this really cool physical image that you scan and then it comes to life. It was a butterfly that would float around the room and come back. And then after the butterfly disappeared, there would be a message. Like you could either do facts about that artist or you could do like a series of clues leading up to something. So I don't know if we can incorporate AR with the NFTs, but it seems like it would be relatively easy to do.
Yep. Yeah, we could. Yeah. There's no reason why not. Like there's the nice part about the way that we've set up the token protocol for the NFTs is that it doesn't just have to be a JPEG. It can be, I mean, we can use any type of content.
Any digital asset,
any
right?
digital content whatsoever. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's going to be an amazing, I can't wait to do that proposal. So I'll reach out to you because I think that would be an amazing showcase for FabriikX and also educate a lot of people along the way, like we said, right?
Yeah. Thank you. That'd be fantastic. That sounds really exciting. I love the idea of tiling it all out. I mean, we've actually talked about doing NFT with little Easter eggs hidden in some of these.
Exactly. They would love that. Yeah. Yeah, that would be amazing. And they have, supposedly nobody has seen this. Like I wasn't even allowed to see a digital image of it because it's a very, very famous artist. So I think it will have a lot of excitement around it because of the name of the artist as well.
We can also make it so that we can take all of the tiles of the art and actually where you buy a quadrant, like you'll buy a specific tile number, but you don't actually see until you purchase it and own it, you don't actually see what the tile is. So people can't piece it together until it's all purchased.
That's amazing. And then,
100 for the piece of artwork or something. So this is the beauty, isn't it, of digital NFTs? Is the fact that you can actually have split ownership on a piece of art.
That's what I talked about at the meeting yesterday. They were asking me what I thought the most interesting thing about NFTs or tokenization is right now. And I was like, well, I don't really have a lot. But I do think like the reason I fell in love with the idea, I do think blockchain and on real estate is very interesting. Real assets like real artwork, right? Actually artwork from very famous artists or something that already has incredible value. But the idea of the reason I fell in love with NFTs or tokens is that you could fractionalize ownership, right? If you could own a piece of a Da Vinci or a piece of the one day famous Diddy artwork, right? Like that's really what's so compelling about it.
Fractional ownership is huge. I also think that NFTs allow art to, and specifically digital art, but I mean physical and digital art combined, you can create experiential art. So
that's right.
It's another, and so there's a lot of cool things.
Immersive, experiential, yep.
We'll see. I think, I don't know, I have 1,000 ideas that I'm all excited about for all this stuff too, yeah.
Can you share any with us?
I refuse. No, I always get in trouble when I do.
I'm sure you've got to be a bit careful when you've got a big company. I was going to say, what do you think the reasons are that art and NFTs are so popular right now? Because I think it's something to do with the uncertainty in the economy and the fact that you don't know what your dollar or pound is going to be worth tomorrow, and you don't know what the price of things is going to be. And I think it's really wonderful to be able to put your money into something that you love and you're getting pleasure out of, and that maybe is a little bit decoupled from the current sort of economic environment. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I think I think several things. So I agree. Just in general, I do agree. I think that there is a lot of uncertainty, and it's funny because I think for the first time in a very long time, there's even uncertainty around currency, around physical currency. Mm-hmm. And so, and of course, with inflation being what it is, people are just unsure. I think, for the first, there's a couple of pieces. So one is for the first time ever, obviously, NFTs allow artists to be able to sell an original, quote unquote, that they can hold up and say, you know what, I'm not, with integrity, I'm not creating multiples of this specific, or and it doesn't have to be one. It can be, 20, 30, 50. But the idea is that I'm going to create a collection, and this collection will exist as a series of 5 or 10, and that's it. And so you can, an artist can actually gain a following because they have the ability to control that distribution network, which they couldn't in the past, where
Right.
you have a museum buying or somebody buying your artwork, and then they can create thousands of copies of it, for example, in the physical sense even. And then the second piece is, we talked about distribution, but it's very similar that NFTs, the farm to table aspects, where you have the ability to have an artist, somewhere in the world that you otherwise wouldn't have been able to get access to, or a client somewhere else in the world you wouldn't have been able to access to be able to access that. And I think because of those two characteristics, it puts an investor who's going in to buy something, gives them a much greater sense of trust and faith that that asset will actually endure, and it'll be worth something. And
Yeah.
For sure. But this is a really dumb technical question, but it's something I do really want to ask. What token protocol do you guys use at Fabriik?
So we actually,
is it? It's something else.
It's not. We actually invented our own. So we invented what we called the FSP, or Fabriik Simple Protocol,
Okay.
and we use that. We actually use that for tokens, and we've been lucky enough that lots of other businesses have been using it. Everything from Transmira to for Omniscape, as well as like BSV tokens.net. There's a bunch of other tokens that people have been building on top of that. Any tokens or NFTs that you see in the Money Button wallet are all built on the FSP protocol. We're planning in the Fabriik Wallet on supporting multiple protocols. That's something that we want to do. The reason why we came up with the FSP was because we reviewed a lot of the other token protocols that had already existed, and they didn't quite do exactly what we had wanted. We had a very specific need, being a financial company. We had a very specific need to be able to associate what was called an authorizer, which is almost like an oracle of sorts, but a little service that sits off to the side that can authorize transactions. And that authorizer, if we wanted to, or if anyone wanted to, could technically live as a smart contract on chain and be fully automated. Or if you're a company that, for example, requires governance of sort, you can run that authorizer and then turn around and say, no, I'm sorry, you can't transfer to that person because that they're in a sanctioned country, unfortunately. And so we needed the ability to be able to take the protocol and inject an authorizer where possible, but it doesn't take away from the usability. And so we can use that in the future that token protocol we use in the future for anything from real estate assets and all that fun stuff, all the way to what it's being used right now for, which is our tokens and our NFTs.
That sounds wonderful. Is it in any way open source, or is it just a proprietary for Fabriik only?
So right now it's proprietary, but it's not meant to be. Like, where anybody can use it by going to docs.moneybutton.com and using the API library, and you can use it. So we're not restricting anyone by any stretch of the imagination. We are actually, as is evidenced through the use of the Fabriik Wallet being built on the Bread open source repo, we've taken quite the shine to open source, and we're hoping to do a lot more. I'll just say we're hoping to do a lot more with the assets and other things that we have in the open source community.
Sounds terrific. I mean, oracles isn't something I hear people talk much about. I have on other chains, but not so much in BSV. So this sounds like quite a powerful feature.
We feel that it is, and we actually so this protocol is something that we worked on a while ago in the company. Was when I had the opportunity of working with Ryan Charles directly and talking about what we wanted to build and how we wanted this protocol to survive, and it was good, and it actually embodies a lot of the characteristics that I know Ryan held near and dear to his heart a long time ago, and probably still does.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic.
Yeah, I have some friends that we use that protocol to make NFTs and different type of access for content. I had a question about the authorizer. Is that something controlled by Fabriik?
Right now, there's only one authorizer that's running, and we control it for all intents and purposes. we don't. That isn't the plan going forward. But what the reality was that the infrastructure to host the authorizer was expensive, and so the team has been working quite hard on scaling that down to something that would be fairly good and not too expensive. So stand by, and if anyone wants to have a further discussion about it, happy to chat about it offline or chat with the team. Yeah.
I think that's one issue at the minute between the wallets is that you can't send tokens from wallet to wallet currently, very much anyway.
No.
So yeah, it's it'd be nice in a way if we start to sort of settle down on specific token.
It would be wonderful.
Yeah.
One of the ways that we're looking to fix that, at least to help fix that, is to support multiple protocols in the Fabriik Wallet, so that way people have they can use their wallet for whatever they want. And then because I think the community has waited a long time, and unfortunately there hasn't been a convergence of protocols. So hopefully it'll help this way, and then let the use cases decide which one.
That would be terrific. Yeah. So a bit like supporting multiple currencies, you're also going to be supporting multiple protocol types, which is,
and it should be seamless.
Yeah. So are you going to be able to, in the end, you're going to be able to store your FabriikX NFTs in your Red wallet? Well, your FabriikX.
Yeah, that's right. So it's funny. We have yes, in your Fabriik Wallet, our goal is to have it so that your tokens, your NFTs, your digital assets, cryptocurrencies, and all your digital assets, whatever they may be, are stored in one place in a self-custodial wallet that we'll say quietly and magically, wherever possible, uses the powers of BSV.
Brilliant.
It looks like from your roadmap and the things you guys are rolling out that you are technically planning for a long lifetime of some of these other cryptocurrencies, incorporating them into everything you guys are doing now. Do you see that being an issue if any of them do have like legal things that come down on them from some of the stuff Craig's doing or whatnot? I just am curious what your thoughts are on the fallout of some of the legal enforcement stuff that Craig supposedly has up his sleeve
so
impacting you guys.
It's a good question. I mean, so we're obviously watching quite intently and monitoring that, and where we feel that there is an asset that is either in a gray territory or not, then we won't include that asset. Like, we're going to err on the side of caution, and that's why, for example, we released the wallet with only 5 different cryptocurrencies to start. We're trying to be very mindful of that. It's hard, and it's difficult, but we sort of, our philosophy is that we feel in order for us to be able to, I guess really to introduce a lot of the benefits of the, I'll say it plainly, of BSV and some of the technology that we all know and have grown to love. In order to introduce that to people, it helps to have a more open wallet that allows people to bring their assets in. And then, for example, it's a no-brainer when somebody turns around and goes, "Oh, I have to get Ethereum gas, and it costs me $50 to do this and that." Right. And man, if I just send my friend BSV, it costs me nothing, and it's so much faster. Like, let's let it speak for itself, and the only way we can do that is having an open forum, which we feel our wallet will be more of an open.
No, I think that's really right, Roy, because I think we've been a little bit closed walled garden. In BSV because we're so convinced that we're the best, but in a sense, I think that plays against us sometimes because people do like to trade between the currencies. But let's open the playing field to the competition and watch them fail.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah,
it's right. Like, let the chips fall where they may.
Right. Who is it that's blocking the ability for you to put the BSV buying capabilities in there? Or it's already in the works and coming, but like, why is that? Why did that why is it harder for you guys to make it able to purchase BSV than BTC on this?
Sure.
Like, who's doing that?
I can. I'm going to give you his address and his name.
I'm on it.
What the difference is between being able to, purchase that with,
Sure. I can explain very simply. It's very simple. So this is a simple explanation for sort of a more complex piece, but on-ramping, so the ability to pay with credit card to buy a crypto, there's different tiers. And we'll say the pinnacle at the top is being a bank. Like directly, you're in a bank, you're a part of the Visa network or MasterCard, like you're right there at the top, right where the rates are super cheap and everything, you can do what you want. And then you go down a few levels, and right at the bottom of those levels, you have companies, and I'm not disparaging them at all, like, Wire or Simplex or some of those other processors where they're tertiary providers. And the reality is that the lower down you go, the faster and quicker and easier it is to implement. The higher up you go, it takes a very long time, because the higher up you go on that pyramid at the pinnacle of it, they do KYC of our company, of all the people that work at the company. So you got to pass through all those hoops. So like I was saying, the good news is we've passed through those hoops, but we wanted to launch our wallet with some functionality to do a fiat on-ramping right off the gate. So we knew that it was a weaker version, but at least it was there. And we're hoping in the next 60 days for us to be able to launch another way of fiat on-ramping that is a couple of steps above that ladder. And then later on in the year, we're actually working on another way that will be even better. So we're getting there.
Okay. I just was curious.
Well, I mean, it's not just Fabriik. I mean, you've seen Hankesh and Gravity in the UK have to literally change countries in order to be able to, meet the regulations. It's tough. It's a tough industry, isn't it?
Yeah, it just seems like, why are there so many more regulations on BSV than there are on any of these other ones?
You know what? It's funny you say that, and I think the problem is that a lot of the, if you you think of it as 3 levels. There are a lot of tertiary providers that are really expensive and have high minimums that are fine to add BSV to their stack. There are much fewer tier 2, like second level players, and almost pretty much none of them offer BSV direct, like fiat to BSV. So we had to come in and literally be much more than a wallet. We really had to jump all the way up to the top and say, what do we need to do? What hoops? We had to get our MSB registration. We had to get certain licenses. Like, we really had to jump through legal hoops and compliance hoops to get ourselves to a point where we say, you know what, we can't rely on all of you. We're gonna create our own on-ramp pipe sort of thing.
Cool. Well, thank you for explaining that. I'm like, wait, before we leave, I have a couple.
It's a great question. It's because I feel so bad. I always feel like we're not doing justice to what our mission is and what we want to do, but we're trying. There's just so much below the surface iceberg work for a little tip, but it's coming.
And it's all legal. Yeah, it's the hardest kind of work. Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us today, Roy. We've really enjoyed this conversation. Fascinating stuff.
Yes.
You've got lots of products on the go here, so it must be quite a headache for you to run Fabriik and keep it all.
To be honest, it's crazy. I drive everybody else crazy, but I'll be honest. Like, it's whether it's in the shower or jumping out of bed in the morning. Like, I'm ecstatic. I love what I'm doing. I love the people that I'm working with. So I'm quite blessed to be a part of this community, and hopefully that we'll be able to do some fun stuff together.
Brilliant. Looking forward to it. Yeah.
Amazing.
I don't have to get my artistic paintbrush out again, but
add a referral link into your wallet for us.
Yeah. Welcome to the family. I'll send it. We'll send out.
I've just downloaded it myself.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much for joining us today, Roy. I think we're going to wrap it up.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.